which should be our deep dive, right?
Yes, so as you guys know, Luka Modric won the Ballon d'Or, and we're going to be doing our deep dive this week on that story.
On the Ballon d'Or, not Luka Modric specifically winning it, but we will tie that in.
Aren't we? I thought we're doing it.
Well, I guess I guess fair enough. It's not the whole Ballon d'Or throughout the years. It's more this year specifically, but it goes into a little bit more grandeur. Anyways, yeah. So
well, I mean, this Ballon d'Or was significant because it finally ends that era of dominance by Messi and Ronaldo. Like each of them 5-5. It's been a crazy run for them.
Which I don't think it should have ended, but it did.
Oh, yeah. See, I disagree with you there,
Question for you guys, though. Do you think they'll ever win it again? Any of them?
Yeah.
Or is this it?
I can see it's not happening.
I wouldn't be surprised if you get another one next year.
I don't think Messi's going to win it again, but I think Ronaldo definitely could.
See,
Messi is younger, though.
Yeah, but it's been interesting, though, because remember when we did the Messi-Ronaldo retirement football mezzanine heritage video? For anyone who hadn't seen that, go check that video out. But if you looked at the stats there, Messi was actually kind of like going downhill a little bit as the years got by, whereas Ronaldo was actually going and like getting better as the years got by. As he got older, he was getting better, whereas Messi kind of like peaked young and then it's kind of been declining. So that trend stays true. I wouldn't be surprised that Messi doesn't get it again and you see maybe Ronaldo win it one more time or something.
Well, if you look at the stats over the past just 2 years, they have been pretty much equal. If not, Messi's stats in La Liga have been a bit better this season than Ronaldo's stats in Serie A. It's just the thing that's interesting that kind of is a little bit annoying to me is how certain competitions get way more weight for like Ballon d'Ors than others. For example, if you have a good run of games in the World Cup, you're pretty much guaranteed to win it over this other person who's had like a consistent 30-game season in La Liga. So like, what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, so when I was reading through this, and I've noticed in past years as well, is that there's two ways to think of it. You can either put more weight on the World Cup or you can put more weight on the season. And what I've noticed, and hopefully other people have as well, is that the World Cup does get a lot more weight than the season, which to me is odd when you think about it, that there's many more games throughout the season, whereas the World Cup is a shorter span. I mean, you can argue the caliber is basically the same. When you're playing Champions League and like top teams, I mean, it's the same thing as at the World Cup as well. It's just more of a short, compressed situation. And all you have to do, is my thinking, is that if you have, say, a good World Cup where you're slightly lucky, where you tend to play better than you normally do, now you have, this is going to carry you further than the whole season. When the season is about consistency, you have to continually play well throughout the whole season. It's much harder to do that. And in my mind, personally, I think more weight should be thrown towards the season than the World Cup. I think the World Cup obviously takes a big factor in, but I think the season should take more weight as a result. But you don't see that from what I've noticed with just even the point systems. And it doesn't take much to look at the top 10 here, where you have Modric on the first, you have Ronaldo second, but then you have Griezmann rounding out third and Mbappe fourth. And Mbappe's been great and everything, but Griezmann on the third place, I think, is a little high. And I think it's because of the World Cup. The fact that he was so
I feel like
close to
Salah
Ronaldo.
should have been there.
Yeah, I'm very surprised Salah was not higher up. And honestly, I mean, you take away the World Cup, and that's probably why he didn't get so many.
Yeah.
But he should definitely have been top 3 this year, I think. Just based off the season, top 3 for sure. And, I mean, you also have to count in World Cup. Some players are on shit teams. He's not on a France squad.
I completely agree. I don't disagree, but what someone who's playing devil's advocate might say is, okay, but the World Cup has way more pressure, and the really, really big players, if they can really handle that pressure and perform well, then they deserve to win that biggest prize.
You get it in the Champions League finals, though, too, for example, right?
It's different, though. World Cup is still bigger than the Champions League.
Yeah, I feel like
it is,
should be
but
weighted.
I don't think the weight is worth that much, though.
No, Ange, because Salah took a very average Egypt side and got them to the World Cup finals itself, and that itself was an achievement for him. So if you're looking at the World Cup as a picture, I feel like we should weight the player with the country's ranking and how far they made it to the stage, right?
Yeah,
like
I
sure,
would
France
agree.
is amazing, and France won the World Cup, right? That's great. But Egypt is shit, but they still made it to the World Cup finals, which like some of the other countries didn't, right?
And that's a really
So
nice.
I feel like if the
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Trukar.
no, I just feel like if they're looking at the World Cup, they should look at the bigger picture of the World Cup itself rather than just who won it or who came second.
And I was.
Yeah, it.
Oh, sorry. I was
Sorry,
just
go
going
on,
to say,
go
and
on,
that's a
go on.
really nice segment into basically whether Modric should win or not. And just building off of what Shrikar said, Modric was on Croatia, who should have never made the finals. But the fact that he was such a big, pivotal role in bringing that, not to mention he also then helped Real Madrid all the way to their third Champions League win in a row. I think there's no argument as far as whether Modric should have won over anyone else. I personally, in my mind, the fact that he is basically almost 300 points higher than second place on Ronaldo really proves that point.
I think that's the opposite of what I think, because the fact that he's 300 points ahead makes it even more ridiculous for me, because he was not 300 points better than Ronaldo. He was not that much better than Messi. I'd say Messi had a better season than Griezmann. I'd say he had a better season than Mbappe.
You have to
And
remember
I
Modric
think-
is not a forward, though, too. You can't expect the same
No,
amount
I'm
of goals,
not.
right?
I'm not going off goals. I'm not going off assists. I'm going off general play. And in terms of player,
How much of
who's
La Liga
made-
did you watch, though?
I watched a lot of Messi games. I watched a lot of Champions League games. And if you're talking about, again, big World Cup impact games, I watched every Champions League game. So I'm not skewing my data or anything, but I'm saying if someone is to vote today in today's climate, they're going to vote based off what everyone is talking about. And what everyone is talking about on social media is the winners of the Champions League and the winners of the World Cup. And the people who don't get noticed are the people who didn't win it, even though they had better seasons.
So that kind of brings us into our another topic that we were kind of discussing. Ange, do you want to describe a little bit more the social media topic you were mentioning?
Yeah.
Just kind of more in a form that everyone will understand.
So pretty much what I think is in today's climate of everyone being on social media and it pretty much taking over our lives, not in a deep, dark way or anything, but just like everyone's always on it, so you know what's happening all the time. And the fact that everywhere you go on social media now, you see like, oh my god, Luka Modric won this, Luka Modric did this, and everyone is kind of getting on that ball rolling of praising him. It's like it has like this effect where even people who weren't considering that before, seeing all this information coming towards them of, oh, this guy had an amazing year, this guy won this guy took his country there. Even though they might have a different opinion, at the end of the day, they might change their mind because of all those like influences they're getting from social media. And I think if social media wasn't as prevalent in people's lives as it is today, Luka Modric wouldn't be 300 points clear of Ronaldo.
But do you think he would still win is the question.
I personally don't think so. I don't think he deserved to win, but like obviously my opinion isn't that of everyone else.
So I guess we can kind of cut it down.
He was a good player.
I was going to say we can cut down basically your opinion to the reason he won is basically, and part of one of the issues I guess with the World Cup is you're saying that media attention, the more media attention you get, then the more kind of popularity you get, and then it builds up this persona where you are then far better.
And there's
than
also
what
a
you
reason for
potentially could be.
getting more media attention too, other than the fact that he won the finals.
And so what?
The other reason is because Messi and Ronaldo have been so consistently good for the past decade that people have become so desensitized to it that it's not as much of a story anymore if they score another goal or if they win another game, because they've seen it all before.
But couldn't you
it
have
doesn't create
argued
that
that-
much social media attention.
Couldn't you argue-
It creates more of a story if you say, oh, look at this, Modric is doing that well. Could he be the first Ballon d'Or winner? And then that gets on everyone's heads.
What I'm saying is each year you've always had some sort of player that's maybe done a breakout year and done incredible things, but yet Ronaldo and Messi would win, and this has been 5 years for both of them prior to this year, right? So you could almost say that, well, that could have applied to prior years, and it didn't. I mean, Mbappe at 17?
Which is correct, though.
17, absolutely winning or scoring a shit ton of goals at his age, and then doing all kinds of other things. And I mean, like, you could apply it there, right?
It's true. That's a fair point. But I think the fact that it didn't is good, and I think the fact that it did this year is maybe testament to the fact that the impact, like, we're all getting by, like, all this social media, that I think it's pretty much become like a social media contest now more than anything, than like people actually looking at like who had the objectively better season. You know, this player was actually amazing, but this player's always been better. So I think it's a little bit like people becoming desensitized to how good Ronaldo and Messi really are. So, like, Griezmann was not better than Messi.
Oh, well, you know what? I completely agree that Griezmann shouldn't round the top three. I personally think it should have been like Modric, probably Ronaldo and Salah in the top three. Mbappe's up there, Messi's up there. I don't think Griezmann should be. To be completely candid, I have not watched enough of Atletico's games this season to really declare a standpoint on Griezmann's play. And he was fantastic in the World Cup, but I don't think the World Cup is a defining factor for whether someone should win or not. It obviously plays a big pivotal role, but whether it takes more weight than a season, I think the season should take more. But Shrikar, I'd like to hear your opinions, because Ansh and I kind of just been going back at it. Like, what do you think about the social media thing, about Modric winning, whether he should or shouldn't, and anything else, basically?
I definitely do think I agree with the decision that Modric deserved it this year, because I mean, he won the Champions League, he won the World Cup, and not saying that anybody who wins the Champions League and the World Cup should get it.
He went to the finals.
I mean, sorry, finals, my bad.
Yeah.
But whoops. But that's like saying, Lovren made the Champions League final and Lovren made the World Cup final, so he should be up there as well. Like, I'm not saying that's the case.
He probably thinks so.
Fair, true.
He probably thinks so.
I mean, to be fair, there were only like 4 players who had that stat. Varane, Modric. What am I missing? Lovren.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else did.
I think that's about it.
It would have to be Croatia or France, right? And they would have to be on Real Madrid or Liverpool at that point. So,
Kovacic then.
Yep. Kovacic as well.
Oh, Kovacic.
Got him. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
but as you were saying,
I mean, so I definitely do agree with the fact that the decision was right in giving Luka Modric the award this year. Ronaldo second, I think that's also deserved. Griezmann, I do not agree with that. Mbappe fourth. Maybe Mbappe should have been like 5th or 6th, and Salah should probably base solely on his fantastic season. I mean, it was more than fantastic. He should have been 3rd, and maybe I have a bit of Liverpool bias coming into this, but at least higher than 6th. I don't think Salah was deserving of 6th.
I think he should be 3rd. I just think it's unfair for certain players. Unfortunately, they get shafted. I mean, he's on Egypt. They're far from a contending team. So, of course, I mean, what is he going to do? Carry the whole team right to the end? I mean, at least Croatia had multiple players they could rely on.
And to be fair, he was also injured, mind you, because he had that Champions League final injury. So if
that's as well true.
You never know. Maybe he could have made the knockouts. But going on to the social media aspect, I get where Ansh is coming from, but you again have to realize that this isn't... I know Ansh didn't say it's a fan vote, but... social media, I don't think has as much of an effect on the journalists and the players who and the players who do the voting for this itself.
The journalist's job is to publish those stories you see on social media.
It's true, but they need to be more informed,
because they need to get stories that have more clicks.
But I mean,
but they need to be
it's
more.
only one journalist per country. As far as I remember, it's only one journalist per country selected by the FA, which often isn't.
Football is an Instagram game now.
It's not a clickbaity type of journalist. You won't find someone from like fucking The Mirror or like Daily Mail who's making the decision for the country. Like, it'd be from a reputed source.
Then explain to me why Griezmann is 3rd on that list. There's no other reason other than people hyping on his train, saying, "Oh, he was good for France because he won the World Cup, and he was good for Atletico." Like, I don't see it.
Yeah, Griezmann, I really don't. Yeah, I agree with you there. Griezmann, I don't know why or how he's here.
I honestly think it's because the players themselves really weight the World Cup highly. Either that or the journalists. It was one of the two, but I think it's the players, and I think that's why. And you generally see it in World Cup years. People who do well in the World Cup get a lot more than they should. I'm I'm worried saying that because, again, I would have to look through years and years upon it. But from what I remember, generally you get more. If you do well in the World Cup, you get more points than you would if it was more weighted on the season, basically.
Tell me how like Paul Pogba is above Aguero in that rating. Like, there's no other reason than the fact that France won the World Cup. Like, he was not better than Aguero.
Oh yeah. Season-wise, no. I mean, World Cup-wise, he was fantastic. But yeah, season-wise, no. But
It's like,
but you also have to look at it, I guess, this way too: is if people do weight the World Cup more, then why would they vote for Aguero season-wise when they can vote for someone like Salah season-wise or like Ronaldo season-wise, right?
well, Salah is above Aguero. Salah is 6th.
Yeah,
Aguero
that's
is,
what I'm
like,
saying. Exactly, that's
16th.
the point. Like, if someone's going to vote season-wise, they're going to vote for better players. If they're going to vote World Cup-wise, then you're going to vote for one of the winners, which Pogba was in. So it makes sense that he gets more points because the World Cup is weighted more, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, which, I find pretty bad. I still think people are like completely forgetting about Messi because he had one of his best years.
So who
again,
do you think
but,
should have won?
No, guys.
Messi or
Historically,
Ronaldo?
I've just looked at the stats. Historically, there is preference given to the World Cup winners because if you see 2018,
cool.
Modric made the final. 2014, Ronaldo, but probably just because Real Madrid were on like a fucking roll that season.
Yeah.
And Neuer came third, and Germany won, right? So,
Yeah.
he's up there too. 2010, if we look at it, Lionel Messi made the final in South Africa. No, that's not true.
What? Nope.
No.
Nope.
That's not. Andres Iniesta is second. He scored the winning goal for Spain.
Yeah.
In 2010. 2006, Fabio Cannavaro, the Italian defenseman. Italy won the World Cup that year. Buffon came second. Henry came third.
It's true. It just happens.
What I am curious is who would you pick to win then? Like Messi or Ronaldo? Because you're obviously one of them, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think I'm sure about my winner, but the one thing I am sure about is I don't think Modric was 300 points better than them.
Yeah.
Like
But do you think he still would have won? Like say he won by 1
No.
point. Do you think he would have still deserved the win over Ronaldo? Or Messi?
No, not for me.
No, you still think he
Not for
shouldn't
me.
have won it?
No, not for me.
So my last question, I guess, because we're getting close to the end. We got about 3 minutes left. Is if you were, say, Ronaldo or Messi, you throw them up there, why them over Modric? Why was Modric not good enough in your opinion, more than anything, I guess?
It's not that he wasn't good enough. I just think that Ronaldo and Messi
were better.
Not humans almost. They're freaks, man. Like, you go watch them and every single game they will do something that's just out of this world, or they'll win you the game just because they're that good and there's nothing anyone can do about them. Whereas, like, Modric will never give the ball away. He will never, ever put your team in danger. He will always make positive passes.
Isn't that a good thing, though?
I'm not saying he doesn't need that, but I'm saying he's not going to pull the game out of the hat for you like Ronaldo and Messi do almost every game. You know, I just think they're on another level. Whereas Modric is amazing. I'm just saying I don't think he's above that level.
Good.
It's just
Okay.
I have nothing bad to say about Modric, so that's why I'm kind of struggling with this question. I just think Ronaldo and Messi are just on another level.
Because I look at it this way, Modric played consistently well throughout the whole season. He was a huge part in the reason why they've won triple back-to-back Champions League. But you can't take the two prior because, again, it's the current year.
Right.
So he was pivotal in this year. And then on top of that, he then has a phenomenal World Cup where he brings, with a couple other players as well, Croatia to the finals, which is unreal. You tell me that at the beginning, I'd be like, no freaking way.
Look at it this way. Kevin De Bruyne had an almost identical year to Modric, and he got to the semis of the World Cup
I don't
too.
see he was as good throughout the year as Modric, though.
I definitely think so. If you watched, he was just like a couple of points behind Salah in that race for the Premier League's best player.
You also got to take into account, though, that they ultimately didn't. I mean, this plays a big part of it. And maybe maybe your trophies shouldn't matter technically, but I mean they didn't get to the Champions League final, whereas Real Madrid did.
That's what I'm
win.
saying. Like if you just imagine if De Bruyne got to the final, but then Modric, let's say, got out in the
Potentially
quarters, even though he had the same performance levels.
Potentially a different
Let's say the
story
rest
then,
of the
yeah.
team
Maybe
fucked
De
up.
Bruyne would be up in the top there. And that's
That's
actually
what I'm saying.
another thing, another factor that we haven't really mentioned is that trophies do play a big role in this, and whether someone gets up into the top as well as with how many trophies they win, and whether it should or not. Say you're the best player in the world
Yeah, I think
on a
that's
shit
pretty
team
much
that hasn't
all
won
that
anything.
we've been talking about. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we've been talking about, though, because if you win the World Cup, then you're higher in the rankings because you won that trophy.
I guess.
Even though you may have not been better than the teams
But
below you.
I was
below
more
you.
specifically making that mention because Modric didn't win the World Cup. I mean, in Champions League they won, yes, but I mean he didn't win the World Cup kind of thing. So you don't necessarily.
Yeah. He did get to the final, and like that. It
Yo,
still
why is Bale on this list?
Influences people. Because he won the Champions League.
Yeah.
But he did fuck all the rest of the season. He scored 2 goals. That's it.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm saying.
Oh, guys, that ends it. We gotta cut this one short, unfortunately.
Like,
True.
how is Lloris on this list? What the fuck?
All right, so moving on to our final topic of the well, like I was gonna say evening for us, but whatever time you're listening to that, and it's going to be our stupid stories of the week. And just before we get into,
Actually, can I just quickly end off the Ballon d'Or segment?
sure, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we barely ended it. It's just, if you guys have any thoughts, feel free to leave it in the comments, because that was a pretty intense discussion. Like, let us know what you guys think of it. And yeah, that's all from us from the Ballon d'Or side.
Yeah. Leave the comments. I mean, if you're on YouTube, that's probably the best way to get a hold of us, or for us to see your comments. But yeah, moving on to the next segment.